Some games become famous because they were ahead of their time. Others become legendary because nobody has ever really replaced them. ActRaiser somehow managed to do both, actually. Back in the early 90s, the gaming industry was filled with platformers, RPGs, action RPGs, and strategy titles, a lot of them. Every genre largely stayed its own lane. The ActRaiser arrived and did something almost nobody expected. It combined side-scrolling action with city building. For one moment you were descending from the heavens as a divine warrior, cutting through monsters and demons with a sword. The next moment you were guiding an entire civilization, helping humanity rebuild, expand, and survive in a world constantly threatened by evil. Even today, that combination feels unreal, unusual. Back then, it felt revolutionary. That's exactly why the idea of a true modern ActRaiser remake now continues to generate some excitement lately. Now, it's important to clarify this, of course. Square Enix already brought the franchise back through ActRaiser Renaissance in 2021. A remastered and expanded version of the original game featuring HD visuals, new stages, gameplay additions, remixed music from the legendary composer Yuzo Koshiro, quality of life improvements of course, and additional content as well. But despite that release, many actually continue discussing something larger. Something far more ambitious, a true next-gen remake. A complete reimagining built from the ground up, and honestly, when you look at the original concept, it's easy to understand why, because the core idea behind ActRaiser still feels incredibly fresh. Like in an era where many games focus entirely on combat and entirely on management systems, ActRaiser asks players to become both a protector and a creator. You aren't just simply fighting evil, you're rebuilding a world, you're helping people survive, you're watching civilization grow because of simply your actions. That's a powerful concept. With modern technology, it could become something extraordinary. Like imagine beginning your journey high above the clouds, the camera, slowly moves across a vast fantasy world scarred by war, monsters, centuries of darkness. Villages lie abandoned, the ancient ruins sit half buried beneath forests, entire kingdoms have now vanished from history, yet humanity is still alive, but barely. Then, the Lord of Light returns. Not through a simple text box, not through a brief introduction, but through a cinematic sequence that immediately establishes the scale of the world. We think that alone could transform the experience. One of the biggest opportunities for a remake, in fact, would be world building. That could alone transform the experience. One of the biggest opportunities for a remake would be world building. The original game did an incredible amount with the hardware that it had in hands. Every region had its own culture, challenges, enemies, stories. Players slowly watched these civilizations evolve as they cleared land, protected citizens, helped communities flourish, and so much more. Now imagine that idea expanded for modern audiences. Cities could physically grow before your eyes, roads could develop organically, architecture could evolve through different stages of prosperity, citizens could react to your actions in meaningful ways, entire regions in fact could tell stories through environmental details alone. Instead of just feeling like separate gameplay systems, the action and city building portions could feel completely connected. And that's where a remake could truly shine. Because modern technology finally allows developers to realize ideas that were impossible in 1990. The action segments could benefit enormously as well, where the original combat was just simple yet satisfying. Players move through side-scrolling levels filled with monsters, traps, bosses, while using various magical abilities to overcome challenges. So imagine a modern remake could preserve that foundation while making combat far more dynamic. Imagine fluid sword combat inspired by modern action games. Imagine larger enemy encounters, enormous boss battles that just truly showcase the scale of the worlds itself. Imagine weather systems, destructible environments, cinematic moments that just blur the line between gameplay and storytelling. The goal, of course, wouldn't be to turn ActRaiser into something completely different. It would just be to finally realize the fantasy that the original game hinted at. Perhaps even the most important part of the fantasy is the sense of responsibility. Most action games make players feel powerful. Very few actually make players feel responsible. That's the difference. In ActRaiser, every battle mattered because people are depending on you. Every monster defeated creates opportunities for humanity to grow. Every region restored becomes part of a larger world slowly returning to life. And that emotional connection remains one of the franchise's greatest strengths. So now a remake could build upon it dramatically. Like imagine individual citizens developing stories of their own, families rebuilding communities, entire towns celebrating milestones, generations growing under your protection. The city building aspect could become far more personal while maintaining the straightforward accessibility that made the original so enjoyable in the first place. Not to mention, there's also the music. Few retro soundtracks actually enjoy the reputation of ActRaiser. Yuzo Koshiro's composing helped elevate the original into something unforgettable. Even decades later, many still consider the soundtrack among the greatest ever created on the Super Nintendo. When ActRaiser Renaissance launched, Square Enix specifically highlighted new, arranged versions of Koshiro's music as one of the remaster's major features. So of course the next generation remake could take that even further. Full orchestral performances, dynamic music systems, themes that evolve alongside civilizations. Like, I don't know, imagine hearing a simple melody when a village is just first founded, only for that same melody to grow into a grand orchestral masterpiece as the region prospers. That's the kind of emotional storytelling modern audio technology can deliver now, and does. Interestingly, ActRaiser Renaissance itself proves something important. People still care about this franchise. The remaster appeared almost out of nowhere, and then immediately generated excitement throughout gaming everywhere. Many players were shocked to see a property that had been dormant for decades suddenly return. That reaction reveals something valuable, that the audience still exists. The interest never disappeared. If anything, many players now view ActRaiser as one of gaming's most underrated classics. And honestly, well, ActRaiser feels uniquely positioned for modern combat now. Many retro games rely heavily on nostalgia. ActRaiser relies on ideas. Good ideas, timeless ideas. The concept of protecting humanity while simultaneously helping it grow remains just as compelling today as it was 3 decades ago. In some ways, it may even be more relevant now. Players increasingly enjoy games that allow them to shape worlds rather than just simply move through them. They enjoy building communities, watching progress unfold, creating stories through their actions. So ActRaiser was doing that long before it became common. That's why a remake feels so promising. Not because it would recreate the past, but because it could show modern audiences how innovative the original concept truly was back then. Right now, no next generation ActRaiser remake has been announced. And of course, if Square Enix ever decides to revisit that idea with a true next-gen remake, they wouldn't just bring back an old game. By any means, they will be reviving one of the most creative concepts gaming has ever produced. A world worth saving, a civilization worth building, and a legend that may still have its own greatest chapter ahead of it.